welcome along to Selhurst Park on a very pleasant Easter Monday afternoon. Always one of the big occasions in the football calendar, and no lack of atmosphere here today as Crystal Palace take on Brighton and Hove Albion. Not a local derby in the strict sense of the words, but it's always a big one for many of the supporters here, as a result of some keen and very intense rivalry over the last 15 years. Crystal Palace is on a bit of a good run at the moment. They made it 2 wins in a row with a 1-0 win at Watford on Friday, and that followed a 1-0 win against Sunderland. And man of the moment, they're giving out some Easter eggs. Ian Wright just signed a new 3-year contract with Palace. Big favourite at Selhurst Park, already got 21 League and Cup goals to his credit. And Brighton will have to be very careful to watch out for his dynamic pace today. There's Phil Barber. Made his 200th appearance in the last home game, followed it up with the winner at Watford, one of the Palace unsung heroes. Been quite a while without a goal, but hoping now to continue his streak today. Certainly the game that the Palace fans have been waiting for all season. They'll be very keen to avenge that very disappointing 3-1 defeat down at the Goldstone. And also we have a very big contingent from Brighton today, so tremendous atmosphere here. Brighton ready to kick off. And a very pleasant conditions for football. Chase on for Mark Bright, only John Kelly to beat. Mark Bright lobs it over Keeley, but also lobs it over the bar as well. So an early scare for Brighton. Palace almost going into a very quick lead. And Mark Bright taking a bit of a knock. Looks like he's ripped his sock as well, as he almost put Palace ahead. I think I said earlier on that Mark Bright was making his 200th appearance for Palace. It should be his 100th league appearance for the club today. And just receiving a bit of treatments from the physio. That's Martin Hilscherwood in the Brighton bench. Used to be a player here at Palace. Next to him, the Brighton manager, Barry Lloyd. Good header by Madden, trying to find McGoldrick on the right. Palace in possession again. And McGoldrick brought down on that occasion by Dean Wilkins. Referee getting over there quickly, and I believe he's going to stand no nonsense, and immediately the name of the Brighton number 4, Dean Wilkins, goes into referee Morton's book. Dean Wilkins, the brother of Ray, of course gained England honours. Another footballing brother, Graham Wilkins, as well, played in the league for Brentford amongst others. So, not the start Brighton wanted, almost conceding a goal, and now giving away a free kick and having Dean Wilkins booked. As John Pemberton floats his free kick towards Keeley, but no problem for anyone, floats harmlessly into touch. And again, Madden's up, getting there first. Pardew playing it on for Ian Wright this time. And a ball falling for Mark Bright, but eventually Dave Madden picking it up. And Larry May in there quickly. Long ball up there on the right, chase on for Gary O'Reilly, playing against his old club today, and enjoy a consistent spell for Palace at the moment. But Larry May beating Ian Wright to that one. And eventually the ball falling for Jeff Hopkins, gets the ball away at the second attempt. Dave Madden, ball finding its way forward to Phil Barber, trying to play it out wide to McGoldrick, but intercepted and cleared by Ian Chapman. And a touch for Perry Suckling, big favourite here at Selhurst Park. And he too puts in a very long click, almost to the opposing penalty area, but away by Larry May, and Wilkins heads on. O'Reilly flicking it back. Seen a bit of hesitancy there. Eventually Ian Chapman clearing the ball, and Pemberton in there quickly as well. Chapman again, and a clash there between Hopkins and Bremner. Hopkins seemed to feel that Bremner's elbow was impeding him. The referee said that Hopkins was the one who committed the foul. So a bit of a respite now for Brighton as they have a free kick, and they're able to put a few bodies in the Palace penalty area. It's been taken by number 6, Ian Chapman, a graduate of the Football School of Excellence. Putting the ball to the right, free header there. bit of hesitancy in the Palace defence on that occasion, but eventually cleared out to Eddie McGoldrick. Eddie McGoldrick taking on Brighton. And eventually a tackle by Ian Chapman. Good solid tackle. He'll be pleased with that. But the ball's still Palace. Pardew trying to get the ball through, but Dublin's in there before him. And it's cleared to Kirbishley. But not quite the through ball that Bremner wanted. In the Brighton team, 18-year-old Ian Chapman and Kevin Bremner and Adam Kirbishley, who played many years of league football. Easy for Dublin. Not the best of clearances though, but finding Kirbishley. Only as far as O'Reilly, and Ian Wright thought for a minute he was onside, but linesman in no doubt. But certainly Ian Wright given a lot of space on that occasion, and he'll be keen to add to his tally. Hopkins and Bremner clashing again as Wilkins goes through, faced by Pardew, plays it back to Kirbishley, ball out wide to Gary Nelson, and a lot of space on the left. Gary Nelson faced by Pemberton, cutting inside, gets the cross in, high deep cross to the far post, nodded back in but away by Gary O'Reilly. As far as Ian Wright, trying to find McGoldrick, but Wilkins is in there first. Chapman playing the ball forward, and it's Dave Madden with a covering header back to Paris Suckling. Dave Madden recently coming into the side and is impressed with his cultured touches in midfield. Dublin keeping his eye on that one, but beaten to it by Ian Wright, but Larry May back there to cover. And certainly Keeley in the action straight away. Hopkins beaten by Bremner on that occasion, but O'Reilly covering only as far as Wilkins. Ball played forward for Nelson, but again the offside flag up. Nelson for Brighton, Ian Wright both being given a lot of space by the opposing defences. They'll obviously be fancying their chances. Referee ruling on that occasion that Larry May was impeded by Mark Bright, and that'll be another important confrontation in this game today. Larry May there just walking away, the £200,000 signing from Sheffield Wednesday, where he had rather a miserable time of things. He's been very happy to re-establish his career with Brighton. Both players missing that one, and it falls to Pemberton. Lobbing forward for Mark Bright, but he's not going to catch that one. So the game gone a little quiet after that very early chance for Mark Bright. Both teams trying to settle into some sort of pattern. Here's Mark Bright in possession again. Eddie McGoldrick in well. Eddie McGoldrick running to the byline, chased by Dublin. Still Eddie McGoldrick, and he fires it over the bar. Seemed to think about a cross, saw the opportunity for a shot, put a hard shot over the heads of John Keeley. Unfortunately for Palace, fortunately for Brighton, the ball also clearing the bar. And Eddie McGoldrick seems to have lost a boot in the process. Just putting it back on. He'll be reflecting that he had a good chance there to open his goal-scoring account for Crystal Palace. Left three Brighton players in his wake, closed in on Keeley, couldn't direct his shots just under the bar. So two early chances for Palace to take the lead. But after 10 minutes, it remains goalless. Certainly Brighton will be keen to settle things down in their defence. But here's McGoldrick again, faced by Wilkins. Well, Pemberton running outside, but cuts inside. Still McGoldrick. McGoldrick still in possession, laying it back to Dave Madden. Chance for Dave Madden. Shot all the way along the ground. Not hit with any power or direction. And Dave Madden, also one who's to open his goal-scoring account for the Palace first team. But he'll be pleased with the service he got, which gave him a chance to deliver that shot. Certainly Palace trying again to assert control. Poor goal kick by Keeley, situation rectified by Chapman, but Madden's in there, trying to find Phil Barber on the left. Falls to Chivers. O'Reilly away, and Richard Shaw, a risky back pass, could fall for Nelson. Well, that's well over the bar, which I seem to notice has got a banana resting on the net. So these inflatable bananas getting everywhere at Selhurst Park. One of the many inflatable things around the ground today. Nelson again, this time finding Kirbishley, faced by Dave Madden. Playing it back, and McGoldrick eventually in there. Wasn't tripped, referee aways play on. Chapman gets a cross in, but that's straight to Perry Suckling, who takes a very quick goal kick. Chase on for Larry May and Mark Bright, and Larry May only playing it out to Ian Wright. Faced by Dublin, beats him, nice skill, gets to the touchline, gets a cross in, but cleared for a corner. So end-to-end action there. Perry Suckling's quick goal kick causing all sorts of problems for the Brighton defence. Larry May only able to clear as far as Ian Wright. Skinned Dublin. His cross eventually going out for a corner. Right, so Palace again taking this corner. Only half cleared. Pardew's under it. And Pardew getting there first, getting it out to Phil Barber, but the referee ruling that when getting that header, Pardew used Gary Chivers to get the height. And I don't think there's much disagreement with that from Alan Pardew. Gradually finding his feet in this Palace first team. As the ball's played forwards, Pemberton gathers, plays it back to Perry Suckling, and Adam Sells to take over commentary.
Yes, as you said, an electric atmosphere here at Selhurst Park. No goals, but plenty of excitement in the early stages. Palace's number 7, Eddie McGoldrick, giving young Ian Chapman particularly a difficult time early on. But it's Brighton who look dangerous on the break, and Wilkins finding Bremner, whose first touch brings in Gary Nelson. Danger for Palace at the moment. Chipped in, Richard Shaw nodding away, Alan Pardew there, taking it down. And an excellent clearance in search of Mark Bright. Chapman again, putting things in the air. Hopkins authoritatively in there, and Bright finds Eddie McGoldrick. Bright's pace testing Keith Dublin as well. He's done well there to shake off the attention of the Palace marksman, but was impeded in the process, said Mr. Morton. And a Brighton free kick. As I was saying, Eddie McGoldrick really teasing the visitors' defence in the early stages. Particularly impressive again last Friday, Good Friday, when Palace came away from Watford with the 3 points. That man McGoldrick again in action there. Stopped by Keith Dublin. John Pemberton with the throw. Mark Bright stopped. Finds Pemberton again though. This time it may come for Bright again, looking for a touch and a volley. Right in there, Barber in there. Difficult bounce, Barber did well, nodded away by Chivers. And Paul Wood, the former Portsmouth man, completes the clearance into touch. To be taken by Richard Shaw. He's held his place in the side this afternoon. Wright's cross, looking for Mark Bright and Eddie McGoldrick. That's a corner. Ian Chapman just touching that one behind, quickly taken by McGoldrick. Phil Barber. Cross towards the far post, Bright and O'Reilly both in there. Kirbishley, the experienced midfield man, upfield. Wood challenged by Shaw, and Madden in before Gary Nelson, but a throw for Brighton. Chivers with the throw. Kevin Bremner. Nelson just unable to keep the ball in play. Certainly a lively opening 18-19 minutes here at Selhurst Park, in front of a good-sized bank holiday crowd and a sizable Brighton contingent away to our left as well. Mark Bright fouled there. Palace have the free kick. I think it was Mike Trusson, the offender. Barber in there with the cross. Bright and O'Reilly there. Nodded away by May as far as Ian Wright. Wright lining up the strike until Paul Wood intervened. Corner for Palace. McGoldrick's cross. John Keeley's coming for it and claimed the ball comfortably at the near post. Just settling things down, John Keeley. Now Nelson. Dean Wilkins. Nelson again, watched by O'Reilly. O'Reilly trips. Wicked cross in there, flicked away by Jeff Hopkins. Wood up there with Madden. And it's Barber who tries to bring the ball away for Palace. Stopped by Kirbishley, who finds Bremner. It's eventually thwarted by Jeff Hopkins, who goes down clutching an ankle. But the Palace skipper doesn't need any attention. Finds his feet with the help of Bremner. And Brighton have the corner to be taken by Dean Wilkins. The in-swinger, May in there, O'Reilly nodding away, Kirbishley able to get the touch, the chase is on from McGoldrick. He got there first, faced by Chapman. Deep cross towards Mark Bright, May just losing that one for a minute. Bright came in, looking for his partner in crime as he's described him, Ian Wright, but the ball running through to John Keeley in the Brighton goal. Hopkins up there, nice touch from Mark Bright. McGoldrick again, seems to be everywhere at the moment, looking towards Mark Bright, deep ball, but Keeley, he's had a solid opening 25 minutes, again sharp from his line to claim that one. O'Reilly up, ball coming off Madden, O'Reilly again, Ian Wright's onside. May tries to recover his ground. Wright scores a quite superb goal. Superb goal from Ian Wright. One of the goals of the season here at Selhurst Park. Selhurst Park is on its feet. I think everyone was expecting the cross. Wright looked up and unleashed a superb angled drive beyond John Keeley for the opening goal. A wonderful goal from Ian Wright, a name that's rarely out of the headlines these days. Recently signed an extension to his contract here at Selhurst Park, and it's goals like that that have made him such a popular figure with the home fans. Pemberton looking that one forward, but easy for Chivers. Yes, certainly a real moment of magic by Wright, and he's in there again there, setting up Dave Madden. Bright's made a run, Madden holds up for a moment, tries a shot at the near post himself. Not a bad effort from the Palace number 4. But comfortably held by Keeley at his near post. Hopkins and Madden acrobatically clearing. Wright looking for Wright. This time May is on hand to find his goalkeeper. Keeley's clearance met by Jeff Hopkins. Larry May in there, helped on by Paul Wood. Madden up there again. Chivers. Looking. Kirbishley. Now Chapman. Hopkins doing well under the attentions of Bremner. Arju with the first time header, trying to find McGoldrick. That one in touch. Throw taken by Chapman. Bremner watched carefully by Pemberton. And the strong running Palace fullback looks up. Tries to deliver a long pass, looking for Mark Bright. but that one comfortable for Keeley. Hopkins again up there. Dean Wilkins for the first touch, prodding that one forward. O'Reilly nodding away. McGoldrick may have to watch the bounce and did. Hopkins up well. Madden shoved in the back by Kirbishley. Kirbishley, very experienced midfield player, on target last Saturday when Brighton overcame an Oxford side by 2-1, scoring the equaliser from the penalty spot. Hopkins long free kick, doubling up there. And McGoldrick down again and in need of some attention. Looks like Mike Trusson's the offender. And he's shown the red card. The Brighton players run towards Mr. Morton, looking in disbelief. Mike Trusson, admittedly, went in with rather a high and slightly late challenge on Eddie McGoldrick. Really, one has to say they're surprised to see Mr. Morton pull out the red card rather than a yellow one, Eamon.
Total amazement of that decision. Seemed to everyone around that it would just be a yellow card. I can only think that something was said to the referee in the process of the card being drawn out of his pocket and he changed it to a red one. But if it was just for the foul, certainly a very harsh decision. Was a late tackle, but Eddie McGoldrick has been causing a lot of problems to the Brighton defence with his pace, and very hard for a defender to time tackles. So a very harsh decision, and certainly Brighton up against it now. Palace prepared to take this one. A bender from Phil Barber, but unable to bend it inside Keeley's left-hand post. Brighton 1 down and down to 10 men after just over 30 minutes, and Palace attack again through Phil Barber. Ian Wright gets a cross in. Good early cross, chance of Mark Bright. Mark Bright judging that cross a lot better than Keith Dublin. Getting on the end of Ian Wright's cross, but just putting his header over the bar. But chances coming now at a fairly regular intervals for Palace. Pardew in there, out to McGoldrick. Pardew again, beaten to it that time, and Alan Kirbishley trying to settle things down, putting the ball forward, but no Brighton player anywhere near. Mark Bright nicely flicks out to McGoldrick on the right. Teasing and tormenting the defenders. Two defenders watching him, gets a cross in, almost finding Mark Bright, but goes through to Phil Barber. Keeps the ball in play, laying it back to Dave Madden. Back out to Barber. Trying to make an angle to get this cross. He gets the cross in. Ian Wright's under it, trying to head it back, but away by Wilkins. And Brighton break through Kirbishley. Playing the ball out wide, but not finding Bremner. And McGoldrick not reading Pemberton's pass, and Chapman's in there. Chapman still, but dispossessed by Alan Pardew. Nice bit of covering, and Palace in possession again through Pemberton. It's taken it too far though. He's given the ball to Gary Nelson. Gets a cross in, and Jeff Hopkins slightly miscuing that one, but the ball breaking for Perry Suckling. Certainly Gary Nelson's a very dangerous player for Brighton, but Ian Wright's breaking again. Chance for Ian Wright, and looked as if Larry May had got the tackle in. Ian Wright certainly felt that there should have been a corner there, but another example of Ian Wright's explosive pace. He's been called Quicksilver, he's been called Turbocharge, was even once called the Ben Johnson of the second division. That's a nickname that didn't last for long. There's the Palace bench, one or two smiles there. Nicely laid back by McGoldrick to Pemberton. Chase on, Larry May getting the ball away. Chapman. Well won by Hopkins. Pemberton and Pardew going for that one, and eventually breaking to Dave Madden. Going through and stopped by 2 Brighton players. And I thought for a minute another card was going to be produced by the referee. Quickly taken free kick by Dave Madden. Always seems to me a harsh rule that the advantage should be with the team that gets the free kick, and if they take the free kick quickly and get an advantage, play should be allowed to continue. But the referee now deciding perhaps it wasn't taken in the right place. And Hopkins chipping this one forward. A lot of Palace players in the box. Larry May seeming to strangle Mark Bright almost. The referee agrees, and it's a penalty. And things going from bad to worse for Brighton. It seemed from here a clear penalty. Your opinion, Adam?
Yes, certainly Bright went up for the ball. He's not had a decision his way, I don't think, during the first half. Been the offender more often than not, but it's certainly seen that May had his arms around his neck and chest as they both rose for the ball and seemed to hold him as Bright went up for it. I think it's going to be Bright who took one here last Saturday to take it himself, Eamon.
Right, Mark Bright seems to have taken over penalty taking for Palace, scored in the last home game against Sunderland. Mark Bright now with a chance to make it 2-0, and he buries it. 2-0 to Palace. Mark Bright's second successive penalty in home games, making it Crystal Palace 2, Brighton 0. And Brighton now finding themselves in a whole lot of trouble. Certainly Mark Bright's hammering that ball inside John Keeley's left-hand post. So just over 5 minutes before the break, Crystal Palace 2, Brighton 0.
Harry Suckling clears long, nodded away by Dublin, as far as McGoldrick. Constant menace to that defence, and he's done it again here, and it's another penalty. McGoldrick weaving his magic through the Brighton back line. Tripped by Dean Wilkins. And Palace have a second penalty. And a couple of minutes before the interval, have a chance to go 3 goals up. Can Bright do the trick again? No, this time he's saved by John Keeley. Bright ran, tried to crash the ball past the Brighton keeper, but he blocked with his legs, stood up well, superbly, and Palace have a corner. But a chance really to sew things up there for Palace and make second half proceedings a formality. O'Reilly in there, hooked away by Chivers. And perhaps the only moment of joy for Brighton in this first half. Bright arrives on the far post, drives the ball wickedly across the goal. Bright tripped. It's another penalty. I don't believe it. Dublin and Keeley race away to Mr. Morton, and Palace have yet another penalty. I don't think I've seen anything like this at Selhurst Park. Palace have a third penalty. And I think it's Ian Wright who's having to take the responsibility this time. Mark Bright tripped in the box. And Wright, who's missed a couple from the spot this season. Faced by Keeley. He's hit the post. Incredible. Bright's onside. But his little hooked effort It's saved by Keeley. But a phenomenal first half's action here at Selhurst Park. A superb goal by Ian Wright. Mark Bright notching a second for a penalty. Mike Trusson sent off, and 2 penalties missed by Palace by Bright and Wright. Bright saved by Keeley, Wright hitting the woodwork. I know you've been to many games, Eamon, but have you seen much like that before?
I cannot remember a more dramatic 45 minutes of football. Game had a little quiet spell after about 10 minutes, but certainly the last 20 minutes have been a complete nightmare for Brighton, and you just wonder what's going to happen next.
Certainly value for money for the crowd anyway. An incident-packed local derby here at Selhurst Park. The half-time whistle moments away. Palace 2 goals to the good, but missing 2 penalties. And Brighton will be going in very unhappy at half-time, in one sense, but can count themselves a little fortunate with thanks to their goalkeeper John Keeley and the woodwork. They're not 4 goals down. Corner comes in. Keeley comes to claim. Hopkins challenging the keeper unfairly, but not really a malicious challenge at all, and a little scuffle about nothing really. Certainly an amazing game here at Selhurst Park, and a lull in the proceedings. This referee, Mr. Walton, blows the half-time whistle, and the players go off after an incredible 45 minutes action. Just seen Palace lead by 2 goals to 0. Ian Wright on 26 minutes. Mike Trusson, the Brighton midfield man, then sent off. Mark Bright making it 2-0 on 40 minutes with a penalty. In a 5-minute spell that saw Palace have 3 penalties. Bright converting 1, then seeing his second effort saved by John Keeley, and then Ian Wright hitting the woodwork. An incredible first half action, which has also seen Dean Wilkins and Gary Chivers booked. The sides going at half-time, Palace 2, Brighton 0.
So the teams lining up for the second half. And if it's anything like the opening 45 minutes, certain to be a lot of drama and incidents. And I'm sure the referee is probably hoping he doesn't have quite so many controversial decisions to make. And waving away Palace's appeal to a free kick there, and Brighton break. Bremner trying to go through, but beaten to it. And Dave Madden, as he's done all afternoon, neatly tidying up. The fact remains that at the end of those 45 minutes, Palace lead by 2 goals to 0. Palace goals are often coming from the right Bright duo, and straight away Ian Wright, who's given Larry May a torrid time so far, in the thick of the action, and Larry May forced to concede a corner. He's seen experience in the First Division with Leicester and Sheffield Wednesday, Larry May. But you'll certainly remember the run around he's been receiving this afternoon. As Phil Barber's corner is floated in, away by Woods. Pardew on the edge, nodding back to Phil Barber out there on the right. Phil Barber again trying to get an angle for a cross, gets his cross in. O'Reilly there on his own, sieving between 2 defenders, tried a little side foot, and Gary O'Reilly dearly loved to score against his old club. Playing solidly at the heart of the Palace defence these days, Gary O'Reilly. And Brighton breaking again. Good bit of early pressure in this second half for Brighton, but again, Palace clear through Pardew, out to Eddie McGoldrick. And McGoldrick goes forward again, but that time a good solid tackle by Chapman. it's a good prospect, but gives the ball away that time to Pemberton, as soon as I say that. And rather aimless ball forward, giving Dublin lots of time, and decides the safest option is to pass it back to his keeper, Keeley. And for once the crowd go quiet. Compared to the first half, that is. And as in that opening half, the game having a little quiet spell itself as well. There's Nelson laying this one back to Dublin, but poor pass, almost putting Pardew in possession, and Pardew still fighting away, almost getting the ball through to Mark Bright. And Chivers nicely creating space for himself. Full bit of play by the Brighton number 2. Again, a very experienced player. Saw lots of first division experience with Chelsea and also QPR. Difficult one for Hopkins, but Perry suppling out bravely. And I said that we've had 3 penalties so far, and that players better be careful what they do in the penalty area. And much to everyone's amazement, Mr. Morton has awarded his 4th penalty of the afternoon. And this will give Brighton a chance to get back into the match. Your thoughts on that decision, Adam?
Well, to be honest, wasn't at all like any of the other spot kick decisions previously. Seemed rather harsh, to be honest, but a penalty it is. We're taken by Kirbishley, which he converts coolly. So Brighton back in with a shout now. A very, very strange decision by Mr. Morton indeed. Brighton back in this game now. I'm sure Steve Cobble warned his men at half-time against complacency. And a real test for them now.
So, 4 penalties awarded, 2 of them converted, 1 to each side. The score now, Crystal Palace 2, Brighton 1, and Alan Kirbishley there showing perhaps the value of an experienced head in the side. Coolly taken penalty. And we really have, to use a well-worn cliche, we really have a match on our hands now. Palace could yet live to regret those 2 missed penalties. Certainly it's been a good opening 10 minutes in the second half for Brighton. And Palace will be eager to regain the ascendancy. 1 or 2 off the ball incidents going on as Ian Wright breaks. Cutting one way then another, faced by Gary Chivers, but he's an experienced player, he's sticking to his task well, and eventually getting the ball away to Wood, who'd come back to help. Challenge there by Shaw, and O'Reilly missing his kick. And referee Morton, who certainly has been in the centre of things this afternoon, ruling that Gary O'Reilly missed his kick because he was pushed by Nelson. I'll say, couldn't quite see what that last penalty was given for, but the referee was in no doubts. Right, ball played forward. Mark Bryce under it, beating Keeley to it. Charles Madden, but his attempted volley on goal, almost going for a throw. Phil Barber making sure it goes for a goal kick right out there in the corner. Phil Barber almost getting on the end of that. Got back amongst the goals against Watford on Good Friday. He'll be eager to continue that sequence. Hasn't scored a goal here at Selhurst Park for a while. Again, Brighton winning that one. Wood's header that time unable to find a colleague, but just slight signs of a little bit of panic in the Palace ranks. Probably thought they had this game sewn up. And now find Brighton in it again. Certainly, there's a new sharpness about the Brighton challengers. Goal has certainly lifted them. But free kick it is to Palace. And certainly defenders will be very wary about the sort of challenges they make. This one goes into the box as it does. Ian Wright's on the end of it, almost falling to Gary O'Reilly. Richard Shaw playing it back to Jeff Hopkins, playing it out left to Phil Barber. But good covering there by Brighton. Throw to Palace. And Phil Barber took a bit of a knock on that tackle from Bremner. who signals to the Brighton supporters to make a bit more noise to lift the team. Throw taken by Richard Shaw, down the line to Mark Bright. And little kick by Bremner, not happy with something that Mark Bright did. And not the wisest things to do by Kevin Bremner. He's certainly not happy with things at the moment. And in fact, it is Mark Bright who's getting booked. So another booking in this game. And the referee having a quick word with his linesman. Quite sure if he's still got his pencil out. Play goes on. So that's the end of the bookings for now. People wondering just what is going to happen next in this quite extraordinary match in some ways. Adam Kirbishley now in a lot of space in the area, gets a good cross in. But again, only one Brighton player there, surrounded by O'Reilly, but Wood's done well. Wood's won the ball, tries to lob it over Perry Suckling, and just over the bar. So Brighton getting right back into this game. Good effort there by Wood, seemed to be Gary O'Reilly's ball. Wood decided otherwise, flitted over the head of Gary O'Reilly, saw Perry Suckling slightly off his line, and tried a little lob with the outside of his right foot, which just cleared the bar. Dublin's kick. Shaw unable to direct his header and concedes a throw. It should be taken by Paul Wood, who so nearly equalised for Brighton a minute ago. Wilkins in possession. But that should be Suckling's. And all seems to go slightly wrong for Brighton once they do reach the penalty area. Nice build up until they get there. But the final ball not really creating a lot of danger at the moment. But nice play there by Bremner. It's got Wood overlapping, being given a lot of space. But not many people to aim at. Waits for a few more to come into the box. Eventually playing it back to Chivers. Playing the ball forward, but Bremner is offside. And his attempted shot, if that's what it was, going well wide. Very experienced player, Kevin Bremner, brother of Des Bremner, who used to play for Aston Villa. And Steve Coppell down there on the bench. Play continues, and Hopkins getting that one clear, but Kirbishley running in, well blocked there by Pemberton. Chance here, and good covering work there again by Hopkins. Space for Phil Barber. Phil Barber taking it up on the left. Ian Wright moving into space. Phil Barber finds him, gets ahead of Larry May, and that time Larry May gets his tackle in. Larry May still playing the ball away to Woods, to Chivers. And O'Reilly beating Bremner to that one. Chivers almost being caught by Ian Wright, but referee Morton deciding that Ian Wright fouled Chivers in the process. Really quick word with Ian Wright. Scored a tremendous goal in the first half. Flick on. O'Reilly taking no chances. High into the member stand. So just over 15 minutes of this pulsating game, of this second half. Crystal Palace 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 1. As the ball bobbles around in the Palace area. Pardew away. Madden beaten to it, but Madden gets it back, but bounces off him. Brighton still in possession, and eventually it's Phil Barber, but he gives it away too to Gary Nelson. Kirbishley, and some anxious noises from the home crowd now as Brighton continue this good spell. And O'Reilly it is who clears up the damage, but again, only as far as the Brighton player. This time it's Chivers going forward a lot more. Plays the ball forward, chance here for Wilkins, but safely gathered by Perry Suckling.
Suckling's clearance aim for Ian Wright and finding him. Testing Gary Chivers, looking for Mark Bright perhaps at the far post. Bright comes into the box, Thought he may have been impeded. McGoldrick razor sharp there on a moment of hesitancy by Ian Chapman. But Keeley blocking bravely. As Palace make a substitution, and it's the youngster Richard Shaw going off, and he's been replaced by David Burke. David Burke, very solid, dependable figure in the Palace defence. Bright flicking on, McGoldrick keeping the ball in play, finding Pemberton. Ian Wright's offside, just a couple of yards offside there as Pemberton attempted to set him away. And Brighton have the free kick. McGoldrick earns Palace a throw. I know they say, and it's an old cliche, that football is a game of two halves, but really at half-time Brighton, although not happy, can count themselves rather fortunate they weren't further behind than they were. And now, with that penalty, fortunate or not, they're right back in there. Even though they're down to 10 men, they're very much pulling together, and it's by no means an easy ride for Palace. Pemberton's throw, looking to set Ian Wright up, but the ball going behind for a goal kick. But Brighton, as I say, really coming back from the dead here. A real test for Palace to hang on. It'd be by no means easy as Ian Wright shows some delightful skills and delivers a great ball out to Bill Barber. What can he do? Faced by Chivers, looking for Burke in support, goes for the far post. Ian Wright's there, and that is penalty number 5. Handball given against Ian Chapman. I think it may have been Keith Dublin. They both went up for the ball together, and incredibly we have penalty number 5 on our hands. Amazing happenings here at Selhurst Park. We've had 2 scored, one by Bright, one by Kirbishley so far, and it's going to be John Pemberton, the Palace right back, who's trusted with this spot kick. Very confident right back John Pemberton. Hasn't taken a penalty kick for Palace before. How will he fare here? He's missed it. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. But it appears I thought for a moment that it was going to be retaken. Palace players still standing around on the edge of the area, but Mr. Morton takes the name of Ian Chapman. So 3 missed penalties by Crystal Palace, 1 converted, 1 converted by Brighton's Alan Kirbishley. I've never seen a game like it. I'm sure one thing, there'll be some penalty taking practice on Palace's Mitcham training ground before the next game. Absolutely incredible, Eamon.
Well, they say penalty taking should be easy and that professionals shouldn't miss. Palace have given an example this afternoon that when the pressure is there, it's not as easy as it looks. And one wonders if Palace get awarded another penalty, who'll take it. But a chance here for Ian Wright. And he also unable to convert, just putting that chance over the bar. The ball bobbled a bit. He hit the ball into the ground and just over John Keeley's right-hand post. So whatever next.
Bright fouled by Dublin. As Brighton are going to make a substitution. And it's Robert Codner, I think, is coming on to replace Paul Wood. Had a lengthy layoff after receiving an injury in this corresponding fixture at the Goldstone on Boxing Day. Knee ligament damage, but okay now, Robert Codner. The ball's in the net again. Mark Bright's in an offside position. The referee whistling there on the advice of his linesman, Mr. Deering. They could pay and make their superiority count. And Brighton have a free kick in a very dangerous position here, just outside the D of the penalty area. Jeff Hopkins, the offender. Suckling trying to organise his wall, which consists of Wright, McGoldrick, Madden and Barber. Shivers also joining in proceedings here. It's Wilkins' strike, hits Alan Pardew, cleared by David Burke, only as far as Codner, challenged by John Pemberton. Codner has another go, Hopkins away. Wright and McGoldrick in a bit of a tangle. Played back by Chapman, Gary O'Reilly there. Ball ricochets off Dean Wilkins for Larry May. Looking towards the far post and Gary Nelson, great nod across. And a magnificent stop there from Perry Suckling when it seemed that Kirbishley was ready to notch his second of the afternoon. And a real let-off for Palace there. Great cross from Larry May, who found himself in an unfamiliar position. Nodded back across by Nelson, and Kirbishley so close.
And it's Brighton doing all the pressing at the moment. Seen very little of McGoldrick in the second half. But break on now for Ian Wright in lots of space. What can Ian Wright do? Carries it just a bit too far ahead, and a combination of Keeley and May get it away, and Dublin appeals for another penalty for Dublin's challenge on Ian Wright, but the referee having none of that. Ian Wright there in a lot of space, just unable to control the ball enough to stop Keeley getting to it. And in the resulting scramble, Brighton managed to get it away, and the referee turns down Palace's pleas for a penalty, which would have been the sixth penalty of this game. And I think Brighton will be rather disappointed if they don't come out of this game with something. They've run proceedings in the second half, but nice bit of skill there by Ian Wright. But Shivers has stuck to his task well and showed his vast experience there. David Burke. Again, Ian Wright in a lot of space. Keeps it on. Shivers not doing anything rash, just waiting for him to come to him. Still Ian Wright, and a shot high and wide. Be noticeable that Gary Shivers has coped with the threat of Ian Wright as well as anyone in the second half, and Ian Wright not being quite as effective as in that first half. Throw given on that occasion to Palace. As we enter the last 5 or 6 minutes, anything could still happen, but the score remains Crystal Palace 2, Brighton 1.
Mark Bright up there. Dave Madden again in very strongly. McGoldrick dispossessed by Chapman. Kirbishley. A bad pass there, sets in Ian Wright as he controlled. Just lost his footing and stumbled. And Gary Shivers clears up. Larry May, who's pushed himself up front for the final few minutes. In an attempt, obviously, to salvage something for Albion. Bright up there with Dublin. McGoldrick tries to keep the ball in. Did the diminutive wide man, but unable to do so. Pemberton up well. but unfairly adjudged the referee. Free kick, a yard inside their own half. Brighton's, that is, to be taken by Chapman. Wilkins nodding in dangerously. Hopkins under that one. Barber beaten by May. Codner played in. O'Reilly volleying that one away. The clock indicating that we're not far off the final whistle here at Selhurst Park, and Palace hanging on anxiously for the promotion points. Pardew nodding away well. Heavily challenged by Dean Wilkins, I think. Alan Pardew worked hard in midfield this afternoon. Free kick to be taken by Perry Suckling. Referee unhappy with the time Perry Suckling was taking over the free kick, and has shown the Palace goalkeeper the yellow card. Didn't appear to be a particularly long stoppage, but the referee has made, must be said, some strange decisions this afternoon. Books Suckling. Meanwhile, Brighton mount an attack. Madden up there, held by Nelson. Was he? The referee waves play on. O'Reilly belting that one away into touch. Nelson, tireless worker this afternoon. Chapman, not the best of chips. Easy for Perry Suckling. Whistles all round Selhurst Park. Chapman up there, nodded away. Hopkins, little option. Puts aim for Rosehead at the back of the members' stand. Dean Wilkins with the throw. May up there. O'Reilly volleys away. Kirbishley. Barber back. Not the best of headers. Codner. Still danger for Palace. Played in. Nelson. Watched by O'Reilly. Codner will get another opportunity to cross. Does so. May in there. O'Reilly away. Chapman. Pardew. Strong challenge by Dublin. Equally by Pemberton. Right. Play on, says the referee. Codner. Nice touch, but that one just a little too long for Chapman. Whistles all round Selhurst Park. Bright adjudged the offender on that occasion. Dublin bowed, free kick driven forward. O'Reilly nods away. Madden's after that one. All challenged by Kirbishley. Codner whipped in. May up there. Good effort from Larry May. Suckling down. Grasping that one gratefully. Referee looks at his watch. O'Reilly nodding. And that is the final action of a pulsating 90 minutes football at Selhurst Park. And it's 3 more promotion playoff points for Palace. Much needed, their 3rd straight win on the bounce. But an action-packed 90 minutes at Selhurst Park. Eamon.
Right now, biting affair for Crystal Palace in the end. Again, they seem to have well under control. Suddenly, Brighton got a penalty, back in it at 2-1. Palace almost came to rue missing those 3 penalties, but in the end, Brighton just unable to make the most of having lost a player.
Final score at Palace. Palace 2, Brighton 1.